Secondly, I do want to announce today that I am issuing a statewide mandate for face coverings. And let me explain the reasons why I believe this is necessary. First, the number of COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are numbers that speak for themselves and indicate that we need to do more. Secondly, I have listened to doctors and nurses who are on the front line in this fight against COVID-19, and they ask the public to do more. Thirdly, I think it's important to hear from legislators, and I've heard from legislators that have a lot of different views, but many of them simply say, I don't like it, but whatever it takes, let's get through this and give us the best chance for normal activities in the future. And then, very significantly, as a reason for this mandate, it's our children and our grandchildren. And our children and grandchildren will be going back to school this year, and they will be required in most instances to wear face coverings. And if you think about it, if you're going to ask the children in the school setting to wear face coverings for everyone's health and safety, then the adults must help them to be ready and to set the right example for them. And so for all of those reasons, I believe this mandate is appropriate and necessary. And finally, I would say that this whole fight against COVID-19 is likely to get harder and not easier. And we have to meet the challenge together, and everyone must do their part. And this is a way to enlist the support of everyone in this fight. And let me, before I go into the cases, review some of the elements of this. If you go to the screen, and this will be the executive order that I will sign and post probably later today, but it will go into effect next Monday. And so we want to give people time to understand it, to be aware of it. And this will require every person in Arkansas to wear a face covering over the mouth and the nose. It will be in all indoor environments where they're exposed to non-household members, and distancing of 6 feet or more cannot be assured. And so if you can socially distance, if you're 6 feet indoors or outdoors, then obviously that's not when we're talking about having to wear a mask. It's when you cannot social distance. In all outdoor settings, they're required in the same category where you cannot have the physical distancing. And then if you go to the next one, it has certain exemptions for people younger than 10 years of age, if there's a medical condition, if the job duties make it impossible, if you're participating in athletic activities where 6 feet distance is not achievable, if you're consuming food or drink, obviously that's important in our restaurant environment. If you're driving alone in a vehicle or the passengers are from your household, then no mask is required. If you're a couple others that are obvious, such as voting or assisting voters, then that's something that's a constitutional right, and so we don't want to interfere with that. If you're engaged in religious worship activities, but we encourage face coverings in that environment. If you're given a speech or a broadcast to an audience, but you have to be safely distanced. And so it is a mandate with the same type of exceptions that you've seen in other states, whether it's Texas or whether it is Alabama most recently. And if you go to the next page, you'll see a little bit more detail on this. It does have the force and effect of law. It is an executive order that I will sign, and subsequent to that, the Director or Secretary of Health will implement it as a public health directive as well. A violation of the directive is a misdemeanor offense that's based upon Arkansas law, and upon a conviction, it could be a fine of $100 or up to $500 for a violation. If you go to the next one, this is how law enforcement and local officials should be handling this mandate. First-time offenders should receive a verbal or written warning. Secondly, violators of this order under 18 years of age shall only receive a verbal or written warning. We're not trying to bring people into juvenile court or to create problems there. It's adults that should be responsible. And then Thirdly, no law enforcement officer or local official may detain, arrest, or confine in jail any person for violation of this order. This is not about arresting anyone. It's not about, it is about education, but in this case, it's also about a penalty, and it's a consequence, and so they can be issued a citation. And this order does not prohibit, but does allow law enforcement officers to enforce trespassing laws or other applicable laws if they have to remove violators at the request of a business or other property owner. And that's important for our restaurants, our businesses that need assistance from law enforcement. And then cities and counties may issue local ordinances that are consistent with this order. Obviously, they can't not do one that's in conflict with this order. And this order will automatically expire upon the termination of the emergency. And so I want everybody to understand that this is a mandate. It does carry consequences. It is enforceable, but it's being implemented in a way that allows for normal activities whenever you can do the social and physical distancing. But this is something that is necessary under the current environment.